Hi there, it's Thomas with Believe in the Run.
This is Robbe with Believe in the Run.
And today we are reviewing the ASICS Magic Speed 4. So the lineage of this shoe, since it's only 4, we might just go back real quick and just say 1 and 2 didn't really do it for us, but 3 kind of hit a sweet spot.
Yeah, I think, in fact, 2 was like one of our least favorite shoes in recent memory. And you're right, 3 hit a sweet spot, and now we're here with 4. And I feel like this is a line of shoes, the Magic Speed in particular, that's been almost like bipolar. It's been so all over the place.
I don't even think ASICS knows what they wanted to do with it.
This version gets some upgrades, some changes to it that I think people will be interested to hear, and it might not be exactly what maybe you were thinking.
It is in the same use case scenario, but just assembled a little differently.
Yeah, and when people first started seeing this shoe, everyone saw the Flight Foam Turbo on the midsole, and people were thinking, oh, Super Blast. You see a higher stack, you see the Turbo, you think Super Blast. It's not the Super Blast. We'll get into that later.
Yeah, let's start with the basics and just cover the upper.
Version 3, do you want to grab version 3 since we are starting with the upper, which is a departure because version 3 had the motion wrap upper. That's the same racing upper that you found in the Meta Speed series. Very light and breathable, pretty much translucent. Really wrapped the foot nicely.
If it worked for your foot, you really liked it. I really liked it. I thought it worked well. It had that race day feel. It kind of gave me that same Meta Speed, feeling that you get from their premium race day shoe in this wrap.
When they say wrap, they actually mean wrapped. It was tight around your pretty much the whole foot. That isn't here anymore. Instead, we get this engineered mesh upper that I don't want to say it's cheap, but it's just there.
Yeah, cheap's not the word for it because This is similar to the rest of the line as far as the build. Like if you're familiar with the Nova Blast, if you're familiar with that, it has some notes that feel similar.
Yeah, I just meant more in like the motion wrap seems a little bit of an elevated feel for that race day premium type thing. This is, a normal upper. And the tongue actually is pretty much similar to last year's, kind of like a flat lay tongue, has gussets, no issues there. I thought the lockdown was great in the heel and midfoot. There's a little bit more room in the toe box this time around as compared to the last version.
This one fits really well. I didn't have any hot spots, no heel lift. They do a nice job. The gusset is sort of that elastic feeling, so it kind of ties around the foot nicely. Size 10.5 fit me true to size. I have had issues with ASICS in sizing in the past. I was doing a lot of their shoes, like if it was like a Nimbus, I was going 10. If it was in the race line, I went 10.5. They seem to have kind of figured that out, and lately I've been wearing 10.5 across the board in ASICS.
Moving on to the midsole.
Has a big Flight Foam Turbo.
Yeah, which creates some feelings. I don't know, is that the right word? Do I have feelings?
Could it be confusion?
Confusion, yeah. So we've kind of seen this in other shoes where Adidas will put like Light Strike Pro on the midsole when it's really just a little piece in the forefoot, talking about the SL, or we'll see it in, Nike does it with Zoom X. And basically the same situation right here, right?
Yeah, you've got a puck of the Flight Foam Turbo, and it sits right under the carbon. It's not a full carbon plate. It's a carbon resin plate.
Carbon resin, yeah.
All right. For those of you, it just means it's not 100% carbon. It's going to be a little more flexible, less rigid. But there's a puck of the Flight Foam Turbo underneath there to kind of give it some pop. I don't know if I felt it or not.
I kind of agree with you. It's not that maybe a propulsive feel that you might be thinking or feeling
like
the
a
plate.
spring-like.
Yeah, and again, it's this carbon resin plate, which isn't as rigid. You're not gonna get that same bend and release, I guess, from the plate. This midsole feels it wasn't what I was expecting, I guess.
Well, let me ask you, what were you expecting? Because we're coming off the Magic Speed 3, which I felt like the Flight Foam Blast Plus was a little soft, pliable. You could kind of get more ground feel. The plate felt a little more aggressive, What were you expecting out of this?
Well, I was in that same boat where I was thinking Super Blast in my head. So that's a bouncier shoe, lightweight bounce to it. Kind of a do-it-all shoe, but you can pick it up. You can do daily training miles. And so I was coming into it expecting it to feel like that. I think even I had forgotten that, because we had seen the specs before, that this was Flight Foam Blast. I just thought it was like all turbo. So when I took my first steps and I thought, this is not that bouncy feel. It's more of a
solid.
Yeah, like a solid feel, but not firm.
Yeah, it's not a bad feeling. It's kind of hard to describe the sensation here because it's not really in line with what we're looking for from race day premium foams, and it's not as boring as maybe some of the daily trainer foams. Even though this is used in the daily trainer, I think that little addition of the Flight Foam Turbo and the plate give this a different characteristic.
Yeah, and I felt it reminded me a lot of the Adidas Boston 12. Maybe with that turbo and the forefoot, a touch of the Adios Pro mixed in there. So somewhere in between the two shoes.
I didn't go the Pro, but I kind of know what you're talking about. I definitely, without talking to Robbe, first time out, I was like, this kind of has that Boston 12 feel. And what that is you kind of, the toe off and the aggressive toe spring paired with that resin carbon plate give you a really nice roll off the front. And the foam that's mixed in with the Light Strike Pro and the regular Light Strike and the Boston, it has that similar feel as like cushioning. And I was like, this is right up there. This is gonna please people who like the Boston 12. How did you feel this compared to like that sensation?
Yeah, I felt that it is similar to that sensation. It's not a strict 10K, 5K, 10K shoe, a tempo shoe in the way that say the Takumi Sen or the Magic Speed 3 is. I think this does lean a little bit towards that more do-it-all shoe. Part of that's due to the extra foam in the heel this time around. So we have 43.5 in the heel, 35.5 in the forefoot. So that's, 8mm drop.
I mean, it seems substantial when you look at the shoes side by side. You can really tell, and there is some, what do they call it when they raise up the sidewall a little bit? There is some of that, but look at that heel, like right there. You can definitely see this is a beefier shoe.
Yeah, and this also, I don't know if we mentioned this when we talked about it before, but it's wider in the forefoot as well.
I didn't.
So I know that because I measured it with a tape measure, and it's like 0.3 of an inch wider in the forefoot. So there's a little bit more stability, because I did take out the Magic Speed 3 just to like run around the block just to test out each shoe. It's definitely more stable, at least in the forefoot. The ASICS grip on the outsole, it's pretty grippy. I didn't have any issues with it. I know everyone loves the AHAR rubber, AHAR Plus or whatever, but I mean, it's a faster shoe. It doesn't need the premium stuff on it, I guess.
Yeah, I had no issues with this rubber. The grip was fine, no problems at all. I have about 30 something miles on here, and I mean, there's not really anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even seeing like scuffing on some of the exposed areas. It's fine.
And then when it comes down to the weight, we're talking, this weight, you're getting that higher stack, you're getting some more, I don't know, added elements to this.
It's a 9.2 ounce or 260 gram shoe for my size 10.5 USA, but the previous model was 8 ounces.
Yeah, so it's basically an ounce heavier. And again, I'm not sure that I necessarily it didn't feel heavy on the run, but I think there is that difference between a straight speed tempo shoe in the 3 and then a more...
I was gonna say there's more use for this shoe.
Yeah. Now, I feel like you could take this shoe farther. I think you could take this to like at least a half marathon, maybe even a full marathon.
Yeah, we were trying to just figure out where the shoe fits in the lineup, and we did kind of conclude that this is a shoe for somebody who's interested in trying a carbon plate, who's not ready to drop maybe the $250 for the premium race day shoe, but wants that experience, wants that shoe that they could race in, maybe do some training in, and this shoe's gonna fit that. What did we say? Carbon curious?
Carbon curious, yeah.
If you're carbon curious.
Yeah, new sexuality just dropped. I really like this shoe. It's just different, and I'm not sure where...
Here's what it does, I think.
Where it fits in.
It's a good shoe. but there's a better shoe that I would use for speed workouts, and there's a better shoe I would use for daily training. So
Fair.
it's kind of that in between. If you want a shoe that you could use for speed and for daily training, it's in a weird spot.
Yeah, I mean, because the Super Blast is kind of a shoe that could do all those things, but I feel like this is a more aggressive shoe. Like, I feel like you can just get that dig in feeling. That
This
kind
has
of,
more of a race feel than the Super Blast.
Because I've done speed workouts in Super Blast, and it feels a little softer maybe for when you're really trying to pick it up. And I feel like this has that more aggressiveness to it, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, another thing I noticed, because the first run I took it out for 12 miles, and it felt a little bit on the firm side, but the Fight Foam Blast Plus in this started to like soften over time. So my next run that was over double digits in the shoe was at like a little over 10 miles. And the shoe really softened up a bit. I was doing sort of like this fartlek thing where I was like chasing down Megan while she was racing. So I had the camera, backpack, and I'm kind of going through it all. Mm-hmm. But the shoe felt really comfortable. I didn't regret having this on my feet for the run the whole day. And it was literally like standing still, running a faster pace, running a medium style pace, back and forth. And I enjoyed running in the shoe. It's kind of not like hitting an exact bell for like, oh, this is where I would use it. And that's where I'm struggling with this one.
Yeah, I get that. And so I do think it might be a little bit confusing for people who are trying to figure out, like, if I love the Super Blast, should I get this shoe? If I love the Nova Blast, should I get this shoe? I think it's just going to be something where you're going to have to try it almost. I don't know.
I would say if you like the Nova Blast 4 and you don't want to drop $250 on a race day shoe, this could be your race day shoe. This could be that one where you get your long, slow miles in the Nova Blast 4, and then you say, you know what, I'm gonna drop into this for my speed work and for maybe hitting marathon paces and racing.
Yeah.
And it'll work for that, and I think that you'll be happy with it. I think where Super Blast comes in is still a higher price shoe than this. This one comes in at $170, Robbie.
Yeah.
Which is right there kind of in that Super Trainer range, but on the lower end of those shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Red light, green light, Thomas?
I'm gonna give this a soft green.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a green because I really loved it for every workout I did in the long run. So for someone who loves that feel, like I said, of the Boston 12, I think you will really enjoy this shoe. But if you're thinking it's a Super Blast, like a budget version of Super Blast, it's just not. So
in the ASICS lineup, I'm probably gonna choose Super Blast. I'm gonna choose Nova Blast for my daily miles, and then I'm really in love with the Metaspeed Sky Paris and Edge Paris.
Could mention one more thing. If I did like a quick comparison against the Saucony Endorphin Speed, I think I would pick, a lot of people were asking that. I think I would pick this shoe over that, just because I think the Speed is still a little soft to me. If you want to lean more towards the daily trainer side of things, then you could pick the Speed. But if you're looking for more of a faster shoe with a more like snappier feel, I think this is probably what I would pick.
All right, Robbie, that probably wraps this up. What do you think?
Yep, good for me.
You know, it'd be great if you watch this video and you care about kids like Robbie. Let's go ahead and hit that like button, maybe even subscribe. Other things you can do to support him.
Send a donation.
Yeah, and
through UNICEF.
Subscribe to our weekly email, which will let you know what we're reviewing, what's going live, both on the website, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere, right there in the website. Or you can just hang out on Instagram and check us out there at Believe in the Run on the gram.
All right.
Don't forget our podcast, Robbie.
Yeah, and listen to our podcast. Everything's in the description. You know what to do. Like, subscribe. See you later.
Spling, spling.